Welcome to the LA Real Estate Podcast. It's our podcast on buying and selling real estate in Los Angeles. Today, we'll be talking all about keeping your cool during this crazy process because it's frustrating. We're going to talk with Vivian Gee from First American about home warranties, and we're going to discuss 5 adult things you need to do while buying. Not that kind of adult. Hey, how you doing, Sara?
I'm good. I'm good, Tanner. How are you?
Real good. I'm put you right on the spot.
Okay.
Tell the people who are listening right now what you just told us.
Okay. Well, my kid's school, amazing school, had a fundraiser, and I may or may not have had a few drinks, and then a few more, and perhaps a few shots.
Lovely.
And there was, we had an auction for all sorts of different activities
Right.
and things. And one of the items was lunch with Henry Winkler.
The Fonz.
The Fonz. So let's just say I made it my plan to win that item, and I won it. And it came with a sizable donation to the kids' school.
So basically, you bought the kids a new playground, but you're
Yes.
going to get to hang out with Henry Winkler.
I'm so excited. So I get to go for lunch with Henry Winkler. And the best part about this is I went home, and first of all, I told Clark how much I spent on it. He was like, oh, okay. And then Clark's my husband. And then I also told him, he seemed like not very excited about it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand it. And he was
Right.
sort of like pouting a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is
It's
he
a
not
decent
more
amount of
excited?
money.
No, but then the next day I was like, so when should we go for lunch with
Oh,
him?
the we word.
And he said, wait, I get to go? And I'm like, yes, you get to go. And then he was jumping around. He was really excited. So,
Well, that's cool.
So I get to go for lunch with Henry Winkler. So in about a month, I'll have part 2.
Part 2 of the Winkler story.
The Winkler story. I know. I'm so excited. I love Henry Winkler.
I wonder, what do you think the odds are? Okay. What do you think the odds are we could get him to come be a guest after you're best friends with him?
Oh, my God. That would be amazing. Well, we'll see. We'll see how the sushi goes.
Okay.
We're going for sushi with him. And he's also a big fisherman, apparently.
Oh.
And I'll have just been in the Yukon with the kids fishing. So we'll see. Maybe we could bond over the fishing thing.
Yeah.
But I love Henry Winkler. He's supposed to be the nicest
Who
person
doesn't?
in Hollywood.
Yeah, he's
I'm
super
so
nice.
excited.
We're talking about his Twitter is really amazing, just in terms of someone who's like got all this gratitude for working and people responding to the work that he's doing.
No,
It's
and
really
he's
cool.
written some children's books. So, yeah, he's very exciting. I'm very excited. Anyways, so, hey, real estate, boom, boom, boom.
Kapow! Guys, it is frustrating to buy a house. The entire process, especially your first go around, because it's so confusing.
Well, I think the thing about buying a house is you're probably moving, and they say that moving is just as stressful as getting divorced or having a death in your family.
Absolutely. Well, both of those things typically involve moving as well.
Yes, they do, Tanner. Yes, they do. So it is a very stressful process. And it's not just the buying. It's all the paperwork that goes along with it. When you do find the perfect house you want to buy, most of the time it is at the most inconvenient time. You're about to go on a trip. You've gotten a new, something's going on with work. You have deadlines. Everything happens at the most inconvenient time. I've actually had a client pretty much go into labor right before she was about to sign the loan documents.
Yikes.
Yeah. So it always happens at a bad time.
Yeah.
There's no good time, just like we've
There's no
said
such
before.
thing. There's no such thing as a perfect time to do this. Plus,
So-
it's just so much money. It's such a big decision. It's very stressful.
It's stressful. So these are some things, and everybody reacts to stress differently. And I've worked with a lot of different clients that have reacted in a lot of different ways. So number 1, take it a day at a time. There's going to be little hurdles. Sometimes complications come up. For example, you find your dream home. It's perfect, but something major comes up in the inspections and you're not really sure if you should still go forward or not. Or maybe there's an issue during the loan process. Something happens during the loan and it looks like, ooh, maybe now you might not be able to get the loan. Take a big breath. Do some yoga. Just take it one day at a time. And I always say things work out the way they're supposed to work out. And, there's only so much that's in your control. So just take it a day at a time.
Well, I even think about, when we were going through, how many houses did we put bids on?
I think we put offers for you on maybe 4 houses.
And the 4th one is the one that I'm in.
Right.
And so it's like that's 3 whole, almost different lives that I almost had, but each one fell through for its own weird whatever reason. This is also why I think it's important to work with a realtor. It's like that one day at a time thing, because it's so scary and it feels like such a big deal, but an experienced realtor has done this all before.
Absolutely. And there's one thing, I mean, there's a couple times where we backed out and we didn't go up any higher because I didn't want you to overpay. And I think that's something to focus on too. If you don't get the house that you think is the dream house, again, take a breath. And just think that there's a reason this happened. And every single time I've had a client that's been really upset that they got outbid or there was an all-cash offer that beat them out, they get really upset. There's a huge range of emotions. They always say at the end, I am so glad I didn't get that house because this was the house that we were meant to have. So
Absolutely.
Again, just, take a breath and realize things are going to turn out how they're supposed to turn out. Number 2, try and keep an eye on the big picture. So there's 2 types of people. There's really detail-oriented people. There's big picture people. Big picture people are the people that kind of, they see the big picture. So if something falls through, they don't get as emotional or fixated or upset. And this happens a lot during negotiations. So we've had deals, sometimes a deal can fall apart for $1,000, and most of the time it comes down to an ego.
Really?
And what I mean by that is someone just doesn't want to give. They just don't want to give. And you see deals fall apart for a couple $1,000s, or this usually the ego thing happens on the seller side where they just don't want, the buyer says, hey, I want you to put to spend a little money and fix this, or I want you to do the termite or whatever. And the seller is just like, no, I'm not giving you anything. And I should have gotten, there's always kind of an ego thing. They just don't want to give up. But really try and focus on the big picture. The big picture is you getting in a house. So maybe you go up a tiny bit, or maybe you give up a little. Again, big picture. And your realtor should really be focusing on the big picture for you. And it's not necessarily about the little fight. It's the big picture. Are you going to get into a house? Is this going to be a good buy?
Is it in a great neighborhood that's going to gain value over time?
Yeah.
What's the potential?
Right. So keep an eye on the big picture. And don't let your ego get the best of you. Number 3, just like you said, listen to the professionals you hire. Listen to the professionals you hire. That includes your inspectors, your agents. And, don't listen to your uncle who's telling you, oh, prices are going to drop and there's going to be trust the professionals, trust your loan officer, trust your realtor. Don't listen to people that aren't qualified. Now, having said that, this oversees that. Your number 4, trust your gut. If something in your gut is telling you, do not buy this house, don't buy the house. If your gut is telling you, even though this is the first house I saw, this is the house I'm meant to have, trust your instinct. Especially, I feel like women are really in tune with their gut instinct. The first house I saw was the house that we ended up buying. And I remember telling my husband, in my gut, I know this is the house we're supposed to buy. And he's like, you're crazy. We've only seen one house. But we went forward with it, and I'm so glad. I mean, our house is worth almost 3 times what we paid for it. So I'm really glad. But listen to your intuition. Number 5, this is really something that, I think when people get stressed, they can kind of lash out, which is treat everyone with respect. And this is kind of common sense, but again, when people are emotional, they'll yell at their mortgage broker. They'll yell at, if the appraisal comes in low or something happens, they'll yell at their mortgage broker. They'll yell at the realtor. We want to treat everybody with respect. Everybody has the same goal in mind, which is to get you into a home. So no matter how stressed you are, just take a breath and don't lash out at the people that are trying to help you.
Right, and it's not going to do you any good either.
No, it's not going to help you. And people, and this is important too, mostly, my clients are wonderful and we have mutual respect, but sometimes, people will get annoyed at the listing agent or they'll be fighting back and forth. Remember, at the end of the day, everybody has the same goal. So people are more likely to want to help you if you're nice and you're polite and you're sweet.
Yeah, I also think, and this is just a life thing, I think a certain amount of it is like letting go. Letting go of like little inconveniences, letting go of what you perceive to be little slights. It goes back to that ego thing.
It's so true. Okay, this is something that I think can really help everyone through the process, and you're already doing the right thing by listening to this podcast. The more front loading of the understanding of everything that happens in the process you can do, the less stressful it's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
So if you do your research, if you understand the paperwork you're going to get in escrow, if you have read the purchase agreement before you ever have to sign it and write your first offer, if you understand the documents, you're going to be a lot less stressed out, because when you first open escrow, you get these big packages, one from your lender, one from escrow. You get a whole bunch of documents from your realtor, and it's stressful. So if you understand all these things before you open escrow, when you get them, it's not going to be so confusing, and you won't need to use as much brain power.
Yeah, and I would add to that, it's for someone who's not a professional, it's difficult to understand every line of an escrow contract.
Right.
Like, you're not going to be able to do that. I think part of the key thing there is to understand that it is a lot. And it's going to feel like a lot, but just be aware that that's how it is for everyone.
Exactly.
And so while it might be really frustrating to you, know that this is how it is for everybody. It's a lot of paperwork, and it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah. And again, do your research ahead of time. This is a big, big, big one. Okay, declutter, get rid of the things you don't need before you get your offer accepted. Once you get your offer accepted, you probably are going to take about 2 weeks to do your inspections, which means you find the house, you decide, yes, we're going forward, we're removing our contingencies. If you want to move in as soon as you close, you have 2 weeks to pack up your entire life.
Yep.
So Mary Kondo that stuff. Get rid of everything you don't need and start packing slowly, so that when you do find the house, and you don't have to go through everything that you have. And I see people with a lot of stuff, garages full of boxes, and hire people to help you.
That was the smartest thing I did. I didn't even have a lot of stuff, but I wound up hiring a company, and I cannot recommend it enough. Let some people come in and pack your stuff up. Does it cost a little money? Yes. But does it save you from going insane? Absolutely.
Yeah. Worth every penny.
Yep.
And this goes into number 8, shop for a moving company before you start house hunting. So these are some of the things you can do before you ever get your offer accepted. Know who you're going to use to move. So that, get a quote like, hey, let's say it's within 10 miles. I've got a 3-bedroom apartment. This is all the big furniture. Have an idea of what you're going to spend, so you can kind of budget a little money for that. But then as soon as you're in escrow, that's one less thing you have to do, is calling around and getting quotes.
Also, if there's somebody, if you haven't bought a house before and you've done all your moving on your own, and you're getting ready to move into a house, and you're saying to yourself, well, I've done my own moving for however many years, why would I need to hire a company? Listen to me. I've never seen it's that whole thing about using a professional. I've never seen 2 guys come in and move so much stuff so safely, so quickly, and so efficiently in my life. It's almost like that's what they do as a job.
Yes.
And they're really good at it.
And they're going to protect. I have so many clients that are like, no, I'm just going to do it myself.
And
it
they're mad the whole
forever.
time.
It's stressful, and a lot of them injure themselves.
Yeah.
Don't throw out your back. Also, guys, once you turn 25 to 30, it's time to stop asking your friends to help you move. It's time. It's time. I had a friend in college who had a truck, and from the 29th to like the 2nd, he wouldn't answer his phone.
That's
because
hilarious.
Every single person he knew would be like, hey, dude, I know you have a truck. Can you help me move some stuff? Like, nope, not going to do it.
Nope, not happening.
Not going to help. Okay, very last thing. Be proactive. Don't leave things until the very last minute. And this means packing. This means getting your paperwork in order. Be proactive, because once you enter escrow, if you have all your ducks in a row and everything's in place, it's going to be a lot less stressful. So these are just a few tips. Help you keep your cool, make the process easier.
Do yourself the favor.
Yeah.
Do yourself the favor. Future you will thank current you for looking up a moving company, for going with your gut, for beginning that packing slowly over time. Sorry, that's a bomb about to go off. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Do we cut the red wire, or do we cut the blue wire?
That's about all the time we have for this segment, obviously, folks. All right, I got a buyer's tip for you. Keep the crappy appliances that come with the house and wait for the major holiday sales to buy new appliances. Oh, boy. Let me tell you, that's a tip right there.
Isn't that a great tip?
That's such a good tip.
You know what else is a good tip is Sears has an outlet where they sell appliances that have little dings in them. Most of them are floor models, so you can get huge discounts, especially if there's a big major sale. Now, you want to be careful that, you know, obviously it works. Maybe get the warranty that comes with it or whatever. It can save you a lot of money. So, yeah, keep the old, ugly, gross fridge. Wait until like a Memorial Day or a Black Friday or something because you can get hundreds and hundreds off your appliances.
Well, and also the thing, too, is like depending on what your state of mind is, you know, you've just made this huge purchase. You know, maybe you've got a little cash on hand and you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to do all of this at once. I'll just replace all of this at once. I'll just buy this new fridge right now, blah, blah, blah. And that is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I had to because
the house didn't come with appliances.
The house didn't come with appliances. I had that dishwasher, which still works.
Woo!
All right, this next thing is something I'm a pretty big believer in, and that's home warranties. We're going to talk to Vivian Gee. She's from First American Home Warranty. Hey, Vivian, can you explain to us what a home warranty is?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. So a home warranty is a systems and appliance repair or replace contract. In a nutshell, they last for 1 year from the close of escrow, and we either fix or will give a new one of anything that's mechanical inside the walls. So it's the systems and appliances inside a condo or inside the four walls of a single-family residence.
And as a realtor, when I work with a buyer, often, actually always, in their contract, I write in that the seller needs to pay for a home warranty. So once you buy a house, after you close and it's your house, you now have a home warranty for a year. So, Vivian, can you explain sort of some of the options that now we usually ask for an up to amount? So it could be $500, $600, some of the different options. So, for example, what are some things that are covered in every warranty? And then maybe we could talk about a few upgrades.
All right. So we call it the basic plan, which is covered in pretty much every home warranty. And it covers things like plumbing, electrical, hot water heaters, built-in microwaves, ovens, ranges, water heaters, exhaust fans, ceiling fans, electrical, let's see, garbage disposals, things you'll pretty much find in any house. In addition to that, every company is a little bit different. Our policy also includes pest control service. So if people just have ants or mice, cockroaches, simple pests, not termites, that's included. And then another great thing that we offer as a basic is rekeying. So people can give us a call right when they close escrow and have all the locks in their house rekeyed.
That's a new one, right, Viv?
We've only had it maybe 5 months.
So neat.
But it's very popular and everybody needs it. So it's a great ad that we decided to give our clients, thinking that we'd offer great service.
I'm glad you mentioned water heaters because I have a First American home warranty, and sure enough, the first call I had to make on it was my water heater. And
very typical.
Yep, super quick, super easy. This was my first house, so obviously I'd never had a home warranty before, but I just found the process so super easy, and it made me a big-time believer. Can you explain for our listeners what happens when somebody like me calls and they say, hey, my water heater's broke?
So that's a great segue to how this works. So they can either call us, and we're open 24 hours a day. So if there's an emergency, we're available. People shouldn't be calling their own repair people, even if it's 4th of July or even if it's midnight or anything like that. So you can call us. You can go online and open a claim. We then dispatch it to one of our contracted local technicians, and that technician calls you, the homeowner, and sets up an appointment. If it's not an emergency, we generally like them to be there within 2 business days. If it's an emergency, we'll do everything we can to get them out the same day or the following day. There's always a service fee, or some people call it a deductible. For our company, it's $75, which is very typical. And then the technician will diagnose the problem and then either fix it or replace it.
And then some of the upgrades, well, I know that Tanner, they actually replaced your entire water heater, didn't they?
Whole new water
You got
heater.
a brand new one.
Yep.
So, that warranty covered itself.
There it is.
Well over. That was great. I know that some people can also have the refrigerator, washer and dryer. That's considered an upgrade. And a lot of people add that on as well.
Yeah, so the items which are optional would be washer and dryer, refrigerator, and it could be multiple refrigerators. So if there's a wine fridge or people have a deep freezer in the garage, something like that, all of them can be covered. Pools or spas, if there's a septic tank, or if there's a sewage ejector pump. And the one other last item that we cover is a limited roof leak. But that one is a very, very strict option, and people should read about it and determine if this is the right coverage for them.
And what are some things that are excluded in a home warranty?
You're asking a great question, Sarah. I love this.
Oh, thanks.
So what's excluded is things that are outside the home. So plumbing outside is a big one, like the main line, if it needs to be replaced. Home warranty companies don't do that. Let me put a little footnote in there. We do go outside the home for swimming pools, which are obviously outside,
right,
and air conditioners, because half of the air conditioners on the ground or on the roof outside.
Right.
Other than that, the policy doesn't cover outside. Other things that are not included is the actual structure. So if the doors and windows aren't moving properly, we don't do that.
And I know you do sewer, like if a drain is clogged and things like that, that is covered, correct?
Correct. We do stoppages if they can be cleared. But if they can't be cleared and they have to be dug up outside, that's where we stop. But if it can be cleared with a snake, then we do it.
Hey, Vivian, what would you say to somebody who they've just bought their first house and they don't think they need a home warranty?
Well, if you ask me, everybody needs a warranty because things break everywhere, no matter what. Whether it's your house or somebody else's, doesn't matter how old the house is, things tend to break. So my belief is that everybody should have one. And even though the sellers only pay for it for 1 year as part of the real estate transaction, people can renew them over and over and over and keep them for 20 years. But I believe that things break, people need them. It's a good benefit.
And especially with things like air conditioners, HVAC systems can be super expensive. Now, what if there's been, deferred maintenance or a unit is really, really, really old? Would that still be covered?
So, yes, there's nothing in our policy that says the age of the unit, if they're covered or not, so it doesn't matter how old it is. As far as the maintenance question, so we don't do maintenance. That is another thing that's not part of a home warranty. So the homeowner should be doing their own. If we come out and there's a problem that needs repair and there's deferred maintenance, we may in fact require the homeowner at that time to do the maintenance at the same time that we do our repairs, because we might say something like, our repair is not going to last unless you clean this thing.
Oh, interesting.
But we don't do the maintenance.
And then as far as, if someone came out and someone had a really old, let's say, refrigerator, and it was a special part that needs to be ordered, how does that process work?
So if we can find the part, we'll find it. We'll go search it down. Unfortunately, there are cases where they could be delayed if it is somewhat of a unique part. Let's say it's a high-end and the parts are coming from another country. That's a big one for some of these very expensive refrigerators. But we'll do it. The unfortunate part is if it takes 2 weeks, we won't just give them a new refrigerator because they don't want to wait the 2 weeks for the part to arrive.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not always super convenient, but it's financially a better way to go.
But it will be fixed.
It will be. And if it's something like that, we'll offer them a temporary refrigerator, give them a couple $100 to go rent one or buy one of those little bar ones.
That's super nice. Sort of
hold them over.
Oh, that's great.
It's not ideal, but it's better than nothing, if you ask me.
Right.
What would you say, just for people who are listening right now and they're trying to understand everything, what would you say your top 3 most frequent calls are?
Our number one place we spend money is plumbing. Plumbing is number one, and it's always after the close of escrow. It's interesting that houses know when somebody new moves in.
You know what I wonder, too? Because when a house is on the market, often it sits empty for a few months. And I always feel like a house that's not being used, if the toilets aren't being used, if the sink isn't being used, things like gaskets dry out.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's exactly correct.
Yeah, and I think that's when things can actually go wrong. So even when I have sellers have their house on the market and they're not in it, I always say, it's a good idea to go once a week or whatever and at least flush the toilets and maybe run the water a little bit, just so that things are still being used. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Vivian. Okay, so top 3 things that most people that you get calls on. You said the first was plumbing, and then what is the second and third?
So I would definitely say the second one is air conditioning, because everybody has a different temperature level that they like. So air conditioning is number 2. And then number 3 is generally appliances. It'll be something like garbage disposal or an oven. Like I said before, houses know, and they break when people use things differently.
Right.
So those are the 3 top areas where we get our phone calls.
Well, Vivian, you've been super, super, super helpful. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Now, if somebody wants to learn more about home warranties or actually order a home warranty through First American, how can they get in touch with you?
So you can go to the First American website, which is www.FAHW, which stands for First American Home Warranty.com. Or I would love to give everybody personal assistance, and they're welcome to email me directly. And my email address is vgee@firstam. And I'll spell it as V like Vivian, G like George, E like Edward, at firstam.com.
And we'll put all your info in the podcast notes too. So if you do want to get in touch with Vivian, you want a home warranty, just look at the podcast notes and you can order one. Vivian, thank you so much for coming on. It's great talking with you this afternoon.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I'd love to talk to you anytime.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Got a tip for the buyers. Look on your utility company's website for rebates. There are often large rebates for new Energy Star washing machines, Nest thermostats, new toilets, refrigerators, sprinklers, windows, etc. Here in Los Angeles, I got $1,000 rebate on a pool pump.
Holy.
I'm a big believer in checking out, here in LA it's DWP, but
right.
Checking out the website for rebates because there are so many.
There's a lot. And so the programs come and then they disappear again. This is funny. I had a really old washing machine when we first bought our house, and I sold it for, I think, $200. And then I found a washing machine on sale for $500, but at the time, LADWP was giving a $400 rebate. So I got a brand new washing machine, and I think I netted plus $100 or something.
I've gotten $1,000 rebate on the pool pump. I got a rebate on my sprinkler system. Totally paid for that. I've gotten rebates on on light bulbs and stuff that. Like they'll just send them to you.
And they do windows. There's all sorts of different things. And again, they're adding new things all the time. So check on LADWP if that's your utility. The gas company has their own rebates.
They do.
So yeah, just keep looking and you can save some moolah.
Save that money.
Save it.
Okay, all right. So home buying, very stressful. Talking about adult things you can do while buying.
We're going to be adulting again. Again, Tanner.
That terrible stuff.
I almost called you Henry because I was thinking of Henry Winkler.
Fonz is on the brain.
Sorry. Gotta shake it off. Okay, so 5 adult things to do when buying. This is a depressing topic, but it's really... This is something, if you own a house, you have to do.
Hold on, let me look at this because I don't know that I've done any of these.
You have to create a will. Okay?
I haven't done that.
And look, it doesn't have to be that expensive. You can use LegalZoom to do a will. It is important. Now, if you die and you don't have anyone else on title and you don't have a will, your house will go into probate. And there's a huge process. Lawyer fees will eat up a ton of it. Your family is not going to get all the money. Have a will, especially if you have children. This is really, really, really important.
If you have kids and you don't have a will, stop. I mean, literally, press pause on the podcast, call a lawyer, go to whatever website will do that and get that handled.
It's not that expensive. It really isn't. And it's important. Make sure your family members have a copy of your will. And it's Murphy's Law. If you have a will, you won't die. If you don't have a will, Tanner, we might not see you tomorrow.
Oh, wow. I think I have a will. I'm not sure.
I bet you don't.
I'm going to look it up and get back to you on it. Number 2, talk to a financial planner about setting up a trust for your family. Okay, a lot of people, when they think trusts, they think of like the mega wealthy people.
Right. So there's a couple things, ways you can buy a house. You can actually buy a house in a trust, and you can set up the trust. You can, in your trust, you can determine who gets your property. And again, a lot of this is to avoid probate. So if something happens to you, the property immediately goes to another family member or a spouse or whatever, and avoids a whole bunch of probate and legal fees. So a family estate, we should try and actually get someone on the podcast to talk about it, estate planning. And yes, you think, oh, these incredibly wealthy, but if you're buying an $800,000 house for $750,000, I mean, that's a $750,000.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Well, and I think the other thing about trust is, I think all the time we think about it in terms of trust funds.
Right.
We don't necessarily think of like a trust. It can also operate in a weird way, almost as a small business, where it's basically rules for how a property has to be treated after someone passes on, or what the money can be used for.
And I think setting up a trust, maybe $1,500 to $2,000, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But once you have your trust set up, any future property you buy can be bought in that trust, and you don't have to create a new one. So anyways, talk to, your financial advisor about setting up a trust. It might not be something you want to do, but you should understand it and consider it. Okay, this is huge. Create an electronic and paper file and everything related to buying your house, and keep an off-site copy.
Oh, wow.
Years ago, I worked for someone that had a fire in their house, and they lost a lot of their documents, a lot of their files. Yeah, you can have a backup on site. You can back up to a hard drive, but if there's a fire in your house, you're going to lose all of your records. So what I do is every couple of years, I actually give my parents a hard drive with a whole bunch of my documents on it. And then I also have a hard copy as well. Now, funny enough, I had my wedding video from when I got married to my husband after dating for 3 months.
In Vegas.
From singing Elvis.
Yeah.
And I remember, well, this is a really important video, and I don't want anything to happen to it. So I gave it to my brother, and I was like, keep this copy. It's a DVD. Keep it. So I always have another copy. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, I can't find my copy. And I called my brother, and I'm like, do you still have that copy? And he's like, no, I checked it.
What? He threw it away?
He's like, yeah, I didn't think you needed it. I'm like, Ben, this is the whole reason I gave it to you. But anyways, I found my copy. So it all worked out in the end.
By the way, the older I get, the more I think that singing Elvis wedding is the way to do it.
Yes.
I'm telling you. That's actually on my Bumble profile. Let's go to Vegas and get
I got married to my husband for $289. That included the limo to the place, included a little flower boutonniere or whatever they're called for him, my bouquet, videos, I think 8 still photographs, and a singing Elvis. And instead of all the cash that I probably could have gotten from my family for a wedding, we used that towards a down payment.
Yeah.
So don't have an expensive wedding. We've talked about this before. This was another buyer's tip.
Why invest in a wedding when you could invest in a property? Because the wedding will be null and void, and you'll have the property. Moving along. Tell your accountant and keep your receipts.
Yeah. Tell your accountant what's happening. Hey, I'm buying a house, and Tanner and I were just talking on the break about how he throws away all of his receipts.
I'm better.
You're getting better now.
Yeah.
What's great now with electronics? Just take a photo of it and just drag it into a folder.
Oh, yeah, that's real smart.
But you should talk to your accountant. Let them know you're buying a house. Find out what sort of tax write-offs. And every year there's new government programs. So when my husband and I bought our house, there was a first-time home buyer's credit. So, maybe there's nothing now. Yeah. So maybe there's nothing now, but there might be in the future. So your accountant should know.
Well, and it's just also one of those things your accountant should know real fast because it's one of those things if you've been living in an apartment or a condo and, taxes just every year are their own pain in the butt.
Yep.
But a house is a wonderful
write-off. And also things like a home office in your house, how to write that off. And some businesses will actually lease a space in your house to your own company if you have an S Corp. It's complicated, but again, let your accountant know, and he can hopefully find you the most amount of write-offs. And then the very last one, this is just, again, being proactive. Take a tally of all your credit cards, personal mail, your driver's license. So when you do close on your house, you have a list of all the things that you need to update your mailing and billing address for. So if you have a list, it's going to make it so much easier. Because again, the first couple of weeks you're in your new home, you're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to be unpacking. You're not going to be able to find half your stuff. So if you have a list of, hey, these are all the things that I need to change my address on, you'll be proactive, ready to go, so you can do it very quickly. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to the LA Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sara Skelton, and with me, my bud.
Hey, I'm Tanner Thomason.
Special thanks to Vivian Gee from First American Home Warranty. Her info is in the podcast notes, so if you'd like to get a home warranty or just ask some more questions, make sure you get in touch with her. Oh, and don't forget our Ask Sara segment. You'll see the link in the podcast descriptions, but you can ask me anything at all. I'm a wealth of knowledge.
About real estate, guys. Keep it to real estate.
No, you can ask me anything, yeah.
Is it anonymous?
It can be, sure. Ask me anything. All right, guys, it's been fun. So have a great week, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, happy house hunting.
Bye.
You know, adult things.
Oh.